Sir, given that Singapore is such an attractive destination for marquee events, why is there even a need to give taxpayer-funded grants to attract them? And secondly, did the government negotiate to make Taylor Swift's Eras tour the only blank space in Southeast Asia? And did it realize that this may be perceived by some of our neighbors as being mean?
So I'll try not to make my answer the 10-minute version. Mr. Giam filed a question for tomorrow with MTI on STB's position on grants. That will be taken separately, so I'm not answering on behalf of STB. You have to make your calculations and work out what's in Singapore and Singaporeans' best interest. If you don't have a certain economy of scale to play in Singapore over X number of nights for a period of time, you won't be able to reap the economies of scale. Then there's going to be a very different balance to the considerations. The concert might take place in Singapore, but for fewer nights, far fewer nights. Or it might not even take place at all in Singapore. So we've got to look at the overall calculation and decide, for a particular event, what is the resonance with Singaporeans? What international, regional draw might it have? And we make this calculation overall. And it is not in every case that we decide that we need to make a grant or we need to negotiate in a particular way. And every event, whether it's lifestyle, sporting, arts, culture, music, has a different consideration. And we are motivated by different outcomes that we want to achieve. And so whether we shape it in one way, give a grant in another way, or organize our framework to host the event in a particular way, all that is shaped by the outcomes that we want to achieve. And so in this case, we were mindful that if we looked at it holistically, if we wanted an opportunity for Singapore to be one of the stops, and then you look at the past tour history, it's very difficult to be 1 or 2 nights alone because of the setup. So we had to look at that as quite a material consideration for discussing with the Taylor Swift team on how long and for what duration to host it in Singapore. And then we also have to judge what's the demand that we have in the local market. So these, I hope, explains to Mr. Giam some of the suite of considerations that we have in deciding how to approach this, which events to put a grant out to, and on what terms, and how to structure it, and also taking into account the overall demand and objectives in Singapore.